Very, very modest is not how I would describe it, having witnessed firsthand today the oil washing ashore on the very southern tip of southeast Louisiana. We left this port here, which is a very busy, thriving little port called Venice, in a very small boat. And when you leave the harbour here, you pass lots and lots of boats, mostly related to the oil industry. You find yourselves surrounded by lots and lots of reeds in the southern marshlands of this state. They are actually known locally as roseau canes, but to the layperson like myself, they are simply reeds in marshes. And at first you don't see any oil. The first notice you get of it is that you smell it on the wind. And then you get close to the lighthouse right out on the very southern tip, and there it is. And it's thick and yellow, mixed with red dispersant. And as you'll see in the film that we made while we were out there, it's really very, very thick indeed. Light, sweet crude, fresh from the well, designed for engines, but now choking southern US marshes. To fully understand just how thick the oil coming ashore here at Paso Loutre on the extreme southeast portion of Louisiana coastline where it meets the Gulf is, we've devised this very simple test by cutting a water bottle in half. I can skim just the top couple of inches and you can see how much is thick crude oil from the Gulf spill and how little is seawater. Oil's been pushed here by the prevailing tides, but as far as the eye can see, the marshes are showing signs of oil damage that's hurting plants, fish, birds and other wildlife. Conservationists are here using high-tech sensors linked to an aircraft overhead to monitor the spill.
Water has a different signature than oil. So we have an aircraft flying that is doing this whole area, and this is ground truthing of it. So I know from being right here and taking samples, when we see it on our aircraft, that's what it is.
The operation to stop the oil reaching shore has now shifted to cleanup mode. Crews work 12-hour shifts in small boats, laying out yards and yards of plastic and cotton booms to try to collect the oil, knowing that oil from underwater slicks could slide right under them at any time, and resigned to the reality that the oil so far seen is nothing compared to what may hit next.
We're just going to try to channel it all into one spot as it comes in and see if we can skim it off the top. They got the big blue barges, the skimmer barges that come through when the big stuff hits. It comes through and it goes through the water. It skims the oil into them barges, separates the water and oil, and they can get it out that way. But it's just going to be a long process. It's not going to be anytime soon.
Patience is running out among locals. The president of nearby Plaquemine Parish says more than a month after the oil rig explosion, no one seems to be in charge.
There's nobody on the ground saying, let's get it done. 5 days we found that oil Monday. They still have not cleaned up that oil. Yesterday they put a boom around it. 5 days later, it had already spread far inland. Took them 5 days to go mob out there. They had to make a plan and work the plan. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Near the oil-clogged marshes, shrimp boats return to harbour, not with a lively catch, but dispersant equipment. The captains work for BP now, helping to clean up a mess, which at the moment only looks as if it will get worse.
Well, John, those pictures certainly tell the story, but as you pointed out, this is just the beginning of that oil slick. There's a bigger slick out there in the Gulf, and when is that likely to come ashore?
Well, this is the problem, and talking to the workers who were on those boats that you saw in my film today, they've been told, they tell me, to expect a lot of oil coming ashore in the next couple of days, maybe between now and 6 days out. They say that what we filmed today was really just floaty bits on the surface, that there is much worse to come with slicks of oil many, many meters deep, and they plan to try and move booms that are far bigger than the ones we were able to show you today in place to try to stop the oil. But Billy Nungesser, who is the chairman of the Parish Council here, who spoke in the film too, he said that he reckons this is a natural disaster on such a scale that we could lose more land in southern Louisiana than from Hurricanes Katrina or any of the other powerful hurricanes that roared through after Hurricane Katrina. And he also said that he and his colleagues at the Parish Council have a plan which they think would work and wouldn't cost too much, and they've put it to BP, they've put it to the Coast Guard, they've put it to the federal authorities, but each time, each of those organizations has found a a reason why their plan to stop the oil affecting the marshlands won't work and can't be done. But as Billy Nungesser himself said to me, they don't have a better alternative, or so it seems. Anand?
And John, he also expressed a lot of frustration over the fact that nobody seems to be in charge of taking care of this oil slick. But we know that the Gulf region is going to get 2 more very high-profile visitors early next week from the U.S. administration, and they're going to be touring this area. Do we know who's coming and why they're going to be there?
We do, but just going back to Billy Nungesser there, he said he's already been through 3 Coast Guard chiefs and 3 BP chiefs in the time since this disaster struck out, and that was the point that he was making. He doesn't seem to find one person who says, right, this is what we're going to do it now, let's get on with it. As for later in the week, Monday, we're looking for a visit from Ken Salazar, who is the Interior Secretary in the Obama administration, and also Janet Napolitano, who's the Homeland Security Secretary, and also 6 senators coming down. They will tour the affected region just like Al Jazeera did today. They will see what we saw when they come down on Monday, and they will also have high-level meetings with BP, at which point the key question will be, when is the oil finally going to be stopped from flowing thousands of meters down in the Gulf?